AOC and the Democrats, they don't want you to close. Why is that? They want your child to be gay. I ran my first boot camp with Owen Cook in January of 2003. So this is my 21st year coaching this material. At that time, no communities like this existed. It was all Usenet groups, which is like text-based groups on the internet. And people would say, hey, I got this idea of something that might work. And they'd say, well, go out and fucking try it. The motto back then was everything must be field tested. Before it was even considered, it had to be field tested because, yes, this stuff may be anecdotal, but, I've personally approached probably 30,000 people. That's probably a conservative estimate. I think that's a statistically significant sample. I'm very pragmatic. I want to do what works. I want to do the things that get me results. I want to do the things that get students results. I want to do the things that get students results very quickly. What a boot camp is, it's a live program where I'll take you out for 3 days. And then we just go out into the real world, into the field, so to speak. And, you put it to the test. At that point, it's on you to actually do the work. And it's easy when some guy's crawling up your ass for 3 days to actually do that. Well, maybe not that easy, because still sometimes people just can't do it. But if you do the things I tell you to do, you're going to get results. You're going to see, oh shit, this is actually quite easy in many ways. Well, I wouldn't say easy. It's simple. It's very simple. Why isn't it easy? Because a lot of these things that get the result require you to behave in ways that are counterintuitive. And more specifically, that run counter to your social conditioning of the correct ways to behave. And this social conditioning has been so ingrained, over a period of many years, decades even, that it's very hard to let go of. A lot of people, they've been dicking around at this stuff and sort of like, if you ever read a book called Mastery by George Leonard, he calls it a hacker. They're content to sort of hack around at a certain level. And if you've never gone on like a boot camp, or if you've never gone out with like highly, highly experienced people, I had a student a couple weeks ago. The way that he put it was I liked the way he put it. So I'm going to share what he said to the group. He's like, it's interesting because all this time I thought I was playing the game. But then when I see like you and your assistants go, it's like I realized I was playing a completely different game. Like when I see you guys do it, it's like, oh, that's what it actually looks like. Because look, not to be a dick, but most people, they're just going out to like practice. They're not going out to get a fucking result. I would say a good 50% of the clients that come on one of these programs, when we go out, they don't even want to get laid. What do they want? They want to be able to say they got laid after they do it. They don't want, they want to be able to feel validated. They want to be able to think they're cool. They want to be able to impress their friends. They want to be able to fulfill a cultural expectation of a man. What they don't actually want is to meet someone, connect with them, go home, remove each other's clothing, put their genitals inside their genitals. That experience, they don't actually, if that's presented to them, many will be like, what? And they won't even know what the fuck to do. I had a student recently, last year actually, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, and this guy, he was doing very well. He's talking to this girl, it's going very well, she's loving it, they're making out. All of a sudden, he comes back. I go, oh, what happened? Did you get blown out? He goes, no, it was going really well. I'm like, yeah, I saw that. What happened? He goes, I had to get my drink. I had to get my drink. He goes, I don't know. In many ways, you're programming yourself to fail because you're not a fucking closer. Everybody say this to yourself right now. I'm a fucking closer. Say it. Hit your chest. Say, I'm a fucking closer. I am a closer. So you have to be instilled with the instinct to pull the trigger. Now, the thing about that is it's very unnerving for many people. Why is that? Well, sounds like Tucker Carlson. Why is that? AOC and the Democrats, they don't want you to close. Why is that? They want your child to be gay. It's probably true. But so let's go through the stages of somebody's development. So when you're first starting, what is like the big barrier that it's hard to get over? Novice will always say, it's hard to take action. It's hard to take action. So that's the first one, because you're saying, look, I feel fine now. If I go talk to these people, I might not feel fine. They might call me a mean name. They might be rude. Okay, so that's the first step. So you get over that, and then you're able to approach. What's the second inhibition? You can go up, you can open now, you can get people to talk to you, hopefully you can get past that social hook point where they go from thinking, who the fuck is this person? Why is he speaking to me? To, oh, okay, this guy's cool. Let's keep talking to him, right? You can get past that consistently. What's the next one? Showing interest. It's going well. Why am I here? Well, ostensibly you're there to make a connection. But now there's that, again, that same fear that you face when I can't approach. Now it's like, okay, I'm in, but I can't start throwing interest in, because to do that, it might fuck it up. It might end the interaction. Rejected. So again, at every step, you're facing an internal resistance against taking it to the next level, aka closing. At every one of these steps, you are letting go of the outcome, and you're saying you have to give the outcome to them, and it's their decision whether they want to talk to you when you approach. It's their decision whether they're going to respond well once you start expressing interest. Okay, so let's say you express the interest verbally. You throw out a couple of statements of intent, little jokey, fucking lighthearted, flirtatious comments. Like, damn, you look very well put together this evening. Or morning, as the case may be. Are you involved in the fashion industry? Well, shit, I love your look. It's fucking hot. Anyway, like I was saying, da-da-da-da-da-da. She's like, oh, did he just say I was hot? Maybe I'm throwing some more in after that. I'm throwing them in. Now, when I throw those in, one of three things is going to happen. Number one, they're going to be like, ew, what? No. And they're going to leave. Number two, they're going to be like, yeah. Oh, yeah? You think it's hot? High five, unprotected sex? Oh, ha, 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 ha. They're going to think it's cool. What else? What else do you want to do? And they're going to be down, at which point I'll take it to the next level. Option three, and this is kind of the funny one. Option three, they think you're cool. They really like the conversation, but they're just not into that romantically. They like you as a person, but they're not into you romantically. And so you'll say the first one, and they'll be like, oh, thank you. You like my look. It's hot. Oh, thank you. You'll say the second one, and they'll be like, you'll see them kind of be like, here he goes with this, you're hot stuff again. That's kind of weird. Anyway, yeah, ha, ha, ha. And you say like the third or the fourth, and then you'll see something in their mind like kind of click. And they'll be like, oh, okay, he's going to keep saying these things. And they're going to become increasingly explicit. So I need to shut this down. And then they'll probably say something like, hey, look, dude, I just got to stop you right here. Like, I really like what you're throwing down. You're a very unique approach. You're a really cool dude, and I like the conversation. But I do have a boyfriend. He's over there. I got to take the drinks back to him. But hey, I hope you have success. They'll say stuff like, I hope you have success tonight. They might even be like, here, meet my friend. She's single. And throw the friend on you. So that's the blowout, quote unquote, I want. And none of those blowouts affect me personally on an emotional level. Now, for a new person, it's very fraught with gravity and meaning and a big story about yourself and what does it all mean when they don't like me. For me, it means literally jack shit. Because as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I go in with the expectation it's going to fail. I maintain a positive attitude through the assumption of failure. And if you're in sales and you do cold calls and stuff like that, if you don't have that attitude, you're not going to survive in sales very long. Because the vast majority of calls will not result in a close. You can't believe that you can't close. That's not the belief. I can't close. Believes I probably won't close. And so when you have that, yet again, it's just statistic. So, I mean, if you look at my successes, people ask me, Jeff, what's your body count? I don't really know. If I had to guess, I'd say it's somewhere around 400, give or take, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I don't fucking know at this point, but I think that's a fairly accurate assessment. Now, again, I have friends who are in like the 1200s, 1300s, but, they think I'm a bitch. My friend Evil Jimmy was like, What's your body count? I'm like 4. He's like, bitch. I'm like, even 400 is probably like a pathological problem. You know, there's some sort of mental problem that you have that caused you to do that, right? But in any case, and I'm not denying that, but in any case, you know, I just said earlier, I approached 30,000 people. It's a terrible batting average, you know? But most of my interactions, they go pretty well. They think I'm cool because I'm doing the right things. But again, so anyway, long story short, so one of those 3 reactions, you throw out the verbal. What comes next? The next step is you got to get physical. You have to introduce a physical communication. Here's a big takeaway, okay? I used to think that the way attraction worked was the following. Number 1, you go in and you say awesome shit. When you say awesome, cool shit, they then think, oh my God, this guy's so cool and awesome. I am attracted. I will now show signs of attraction. And then when you see the signs of attraction, now you have permission to move it forward and permission to escalate. Now my understanding of it is kind of flipped. And if you're writing shit down, I would write this down. The escalation causes the attraction. It causes it. Now, again, you got to be mindful of their comfort level. And that's why I go in and I'm charming first. And then I throw in the statements of intent to test the waters and see if they're receptive to that. And then when I introduce the physicality, I do it in an incremental way that lets them acclimate to it incrementally, over time. So it's a smooth thing. I'm not just going in there, hey, and, touching people, right? Let's understand that. Very, very important. But again, I'm layering it in a smooth way. So it's the step by step by step by step, from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50. And look, I'm a witty motherfucker. That's not causing a physiological arousal response. That's making people intellectually attracted. Like, oh, this guy's very intelligent. He knows a lot of big words. Oh, look at how he has his turns of phrase and his witticisms and his flowery language. He speaks in a very unique way. I love how he articulates his thoughts and how he's able to tie things together. Like, he's witty. Cool. It's like an academic interest, if you will. And it's very important. It's very effective. Trust me, because that's what's going to make... That is, by the way, that is what's going to make you unique enough so they're like, this one's different. Because attraction's a dime a dozen. Any animal can get a fucking track. Any dumbass can get attraction. But again, that intellectual stuff, that wit and charm, that's what's going to make them say to their friends, no, I'm going with this guy because he's the most interesting person I've met in the last 6 months. No. Or the friends come in, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. And by the way, their friends don't need to love you, but they need to understand why she does. They need to be able to look at you and see, oh, okay, I get it. I understand what she sees in them. They don't necessarily need to feel it, but they need to understand why she does. So look, at every of these steps I've been describing, the challenge involves taking it to the next level. So again, when you're starting, it's getting out of the house. When you go out, it's doing the approaches. Next, it's taking it from boring conversation to starting to throw in some flirtation. Then it's, oh, flirtation's going good. Now let's do physical. Now physical is going good. Let's suggest going. Every one of those internal challenges that I just described is about what? It's about closing. Because at those moments, that's the moment where you're like, it's going good. If I take it to the next level, it might stop going good. So how do you become a closer? Well, again, like I said, you've got to adopt a mentality where I probably won't, but I can. And then you iterate. And by the way, it doesn't take much to become competent if you know what you're doing. Because most of you have been dicking around watching videos, RSD Tyler videos, even my fucking videos. Look, all of that, these videos, the information, it might be accurate, it might be true, it might be real, it might be powerful and important, but it will not have any living energy until you actually have context for it and you go out. We make those videos for people who go out to illuminate things that you, and help you understand things you see when you go out. Not so you can watch these fucking videos for 10 years and then think that you know what the fuck game is, because you don't. You're not even playing the game. And then maybe you go out with your little buddies and you stand in a chode crystal jerk each other off and talk about game for 2 hours and do 3 approaches and then go home and feel like you accomplished something. Meanwhile, myself, these assistants, my students who follow the instructions and get good, they're pulling 4 out of 5 nights they go out. And that is not an exaggeration. That is genuine. I mean, it's hard to put a fine point on it, but I'd say, about 70-80% of the time they go out, you're going to pull. Now, of course, there's plenty of ways to fuck it up back at the house. But still, you're going to find somebody because you stop giving a shit. You iterate. You're looking for 2 things. You're looking for somebody with whom you have, number 1, chemistry, and number 2, their logistics line up with yours. So if those 2 things come to, like, if those two stars align, you find somebody you have the chemistry with, and you might have to talk to, like, if I go out, I might have to talk to 20 people before I find the one that I have chemistry with and who also has logistics. I might, and this is more common, I'd say that when we go out, we probably do about 5 sets a night because we stick in. That's the big thing. Somebody put here, up above, is like, how long should you stay in an interaction? Till the fucking end. Like, again, this is the mentality that needs to be changed. How long should I stay in an interaction? Till it's fucking done. And that might be 2 hours. Here's another thing. A lot of guys, they hear, like, you go in, you get this attraction very quickly. And so then they think they get this mistaken belief that all these pulls happen in like 10 minutes. It's like, no, just because attraction comes first doesn't mean you discard rapport. Now you got to act fucking normal for an hour. So they see that, oh, actually he's normal. Anyone can get attraction. It's very simple. But most people are dicking around with this like boring questions and all this nonsense that just fizzles it out before the attraction could happen. The attraction will either happen very quickly or not at all. It will either happen almost immediately, like, again, 5, 10, 15 minutes at the max, or it's not going to happen at all. You're not going to be in there talking about where they went to school and all this bullshit, the weather, and then 40 minutes later, surprise, I have a dick. Like, that's not going to happen. They're just going to fucking leave. But again, just because you get the attraction first does not mean you can abandon the comfort building stage and the getting to the friend stage and all that stuff. So having said that, again, all of this is really centered around what? It's centered around, can you let go of the outcome? You're going to have to let go of the outcome. So for me, these things mean very little. They mean nothing. I'm afraid this stuff will make me cry. And by the way, it might make you cry. It might make you cry. And honestly, it probably will. And once you get good at it, you're probably going to cry more.